Welcome back, everyone. It's Jennifer McGuire with more of my favorite crafty things 2014. I appreciate you stopping by. Today is day 6 and I'm talking about different tools for coloring. Now there are a lot out there. I'm just going to show you the ones that I've had the most success with. Before we get started, I wanted to mention that all the products are linked below in my YouTube description, and you can go to my blog for those links. Also, there are shopping discounts and some really big giveaways. Now I did need to mention for this video it's going to be a little bit different than others. I really can't show you all the different things that all these different coloring tools can do. So what I'm going to do is just show you briefly the coloring tools, and I will provide links to videos that I've done in the past that give greater detail about these coloring tools. So be sure to either click the annotation on the video. If you're watching on mobile, it won't show up there. You'll just have to look in my YouTube description where I'll have links to those other videos, or you can go to my blog for those links. But be sure to check those out if you really want to learn more about all these different coloring mediums. Let's start with watercolor, since watercolor was so popular this year. Trust me, I've tried all kinds of watercolor and I've found two that I think are the easiest to work with. Now, as I'm setting up and getting ready, let me mention the tools that I'm using here. I like to work on a cutting board when I'm doing watercolor because I can pick it up and move it to the side when it needs to dry on its own without tilting it or messing it up, and I can also heat it if I want to. I also like to tape my watercolor paper to the cutting board so that it doesn't curl up when we add moisture. I find those tools very helpful. For paintbrushes, I like this paintbrush on the left. It's a very nice paintbrush and it's nice and fine, and I will link to that one. And then on the right are a handful of the Ranger artistic brushes. These are great brushes, and actually there's more that come in a pack and the price is wonderful. I've been using these for years. I can't recommend them enough. The first watercolor that I like to work with is this Japanese watercolor. The colors are very creamy and they're just incredible. I have a hard time with watercolor because I'm not an artist. I don't know how to use them well, but these do the work for you, so I find they're easy to use. Now you can take the little colors out and take them to your work surface, which is nice. I also like that the biggest set, this is the set of 36 colors, has these 4 on the bottom. There's a white, the 2 kind of gold colors, and then like an iridescent white, which I'll show you how that one works. I just think it's wonderful. There are smaller sets, but you do lose these metallic watercolors. So another nice thing about this box of watercolor is in the lid you can put samples of what the colors look like. You can see how beautiful all of the colors are, and you can see the metallic shine with the watercolors in the bottom row. I think it's really unique to see that kind of shine with a watercolor. So let's just go ahead and just use some of it very quickly. I always like to wet my watercolor paper first before adding color, so I just put some water down, and look how creamy these watercolors are. Very quick to pick up with your brush and just paint away. Now I have a video where I did a card using these watercolors and some of the iridescent color, and I will link to that because I think it's really helpful to see it in action. Now if you use less water and you just take it to dry paper, check this out how creamy that paint can be. So you can make it more watery, more watercolor-like, or more paint-like. It's just beautiful. The pigment in this is incredible. I feel that these paints are somewhat easy to control. You can mix up some of the colors on maybe an acrylic block to the side. Just beautiful stuff. Now here's the iridescent. I just put some color on my paper, some watercolor down, and I'm kind of dropping in some of the iridescent with some water. Now it doesn't look like much shine here, but watercolor always looks better once it's dried, and when I come back to it you can see the shine that you get in that color. So that's the shine on the right, and on the left is without that iridescence, just the regular Japanese watercolor. I think it's just gorgeous. The other form of watercolor that I really like are the Peerless watercolors. Now these are super unique from any other watercolor I've ever seen. The watercolor is actually in those square swatches you see there. It's like a super thick paper that's been embedded with the pigment, with the color, and when you take a wet brush to it, you can pick up the color and use it like watercolor. These colors are very intense and very vibrant. So let's go ahead and use it very quickly, add some water to our paper, take the wet brush to the Peerless swatch, bring it to your paper, and look at that intense color. Those swatches last a very long time because there's so much color in it, and you can get really bold colors. So if you like bold, this is a great option for you. If you do want the colors softer, you can add more water to them. Now what's great about this watercolor is it does the work for you. You get really cool effects when you let it dry on its own. So I like both of these watercolors because they're so easy to work with. I highly recommend them. Now this one, I do have mine put into a photo album to keep them nice and tidy, and I'll link to a video where I show how to do that. Okay, so now let's talk about markers. Let's first talk about distress markers. I actually use these often for watercolor. Distress markers are part of the distress line and come in incredible colors. There's a brush tip and a fine tip. You could take that brush tip and color right onto your stamp, multiple colors, and then stamp that image and get multiple colors. But I wanted to show you how you can use them for watercolor because that's what I actually use them for most. So what I do is I scribble right onto my paper, maybe color in an image with the marker. While it's still good and wet, I just bring a wet brush to it, and check this out. You can get a watercolor look. If you struggle with controlling watercolor, this is a great option for you because you can have a bit more control because it's in marker form. You can also scribble the distress marker right onto an acrylic block, bring a wet brush to it, and pick it up and get watercolor that way. And again, I will link to some videos where I use distress markers for you to check out. The other type of marker that I'm really loving these days are the Tombow markers. These are much brighter than the distress markers, and there are a lot of things you can also do with these markers, and I've done some videos which I'll link to. Now let me show you how these markers look. They have a large brush tip and then a fine tip. Check out how bright that color is. And you can use these for normal coloring. And the nice thing about these is you don't get many lines when you color with them. You know how if you color with markers, sometimes you get lines. You don't get many with these. You can also add water and do watercolor with these so you can get some bright watercolor looks. The sets also do come with blender pens that you can use to kind of blend the color out. For some reason, I don't use the blender pens much. Instead, I either use water or another tool that I like called the Dove blending pen. Now the Dove blender comes with a pen and then a refill, so you can refill the pen. And this is just basically a colorless blender. You can use it with different color mediums, but I like to use it with my Tombow markers. Now let me show you how this works. I put down just a little wave here with my Tombow marker, and then you kind of pull the color down with the Dove blender, and you get kind of a watercolor look, but with more control. When you want to remove some of the color from the tip, you just scribble it off. Now let's compare that to using water to blend out the Tombow marker. Here you can see you get a similar look, but it is a little bit harder to control because it's just water on a brush. Now there's one last way I like to use these Tombow markers, and that's with my Clear Wink of Stella. This is a shimmer marker, which I'll talk about in another day, but you can use this to blend your color out. Now keep in mind, you can do these same techniques with the distress markers. They just have a more toned down color palette. So between the two lines, I'm really happy with the markers that I have. Oh, and I wanted to show you one more thing you can do with that Dove blender pen. You can put down two colors of the Tombow or distress markers and blend them together using the Dove blender pen. This is a great effect, and it's very similar to what you get from Copic markers. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Copic markers. Yes, Copic markers are incredible tools. They just happen to be a little bit pricey. Now, there is a lot of information about Copic markers that you need to know. I highly recommend checking out the online card class called Copic Markers for Card Makers. There's a lot of great tips in there, where to start, different techniques you can do, everything you need to know. I've shared a lot of these things on my blog, and I'll link to some of those videos. But let me just tell you why I think Copic markers are great. Instead of talking about all the things you can do with them and how they work, let me tell you why I think they're great. Unlike other markers, you can scribble and scribble and scribble on your Copic-friendly papers and overlap the colors as much as you want, and the paper won't pill. You can also blend colors together easily, and you don't get the lines that you get with other markers. So you get very smooth, solid results. Now there are many, many techniques that you can do with Copic markers. I mean, there are a billion. And if you're a technique person like me, that makes these very appealing. Now, I will tell you, I don't think you need to go out and buy all the markers. They're very expensive. You can really get away with just a few and knowing some ways, some special techniques to kind of stretch those few colors. I'll link to a post I did years ago on my favorite colors, and they still hold true today. So that might be a helpful place to start. I also will say that Copic markers aren't nearly as difficult to use as they may seem. They're actually super easy to use. So if you struggle with coloring like I do, they may be a good tool for you. Let's next talk about colored pencils. I've actually used colored pencils more than anything else over the many years that I've been crafting, and the brand that I've used from the beginning are the Prismacolor colored pencils. I recently upgraded to the largest set, which you see here, but you really don't need this big set. You can get away with a much smaller set, like a set of 24, and I'll link to them all below. Now, there are many things you can know about these pencils and the quality and what they're made of, but really all you need to know is that they go on like butter and they are an incredibly high quality product. Now, the nice thing about colored pencils is you can scribble them on very quickly. You'll see here I'm just doing it very quickly, and you can blend them together and make them look seamless with a product called Gamsol. Now, for Gamsol, you need these paper stumps. This is just tightly wound paper that you can use to apply Gamsol. I like the ones from Spectrum Noir. There's a set with a bunch of different sizes. These last forever, and you can just sand off the tips to remove some of the color. Now, this is Gamsol. I like this container from Inky Antics because you just screw the cap off and there is like a dauber tip on the top, so you don't have the fumes getting everywhere and you don't have to worry about it spilling. You just touch the paper stump to the tip and you'll see that it absorbs some of the Gamsol. Now you take this and you just color over your colored pencils and it blends together beautifully with very little effort. In fact, less effort than it takes from, say, Copic markers. Now, Gamsol, if you don't feel comfortable using Gamsol, you could use baby oil for this, but I have a hard time controlling it, and I think the Gamsol is much better. You can also easily blend a dark color out into white, so if you want like a smooth edge, a smooth transition, Gamsol is very good for that. I recommend getting the Gamsol Inky Antics Starter Kit. It has everything you need to use. It's super easy to use, and I'll link to a video showing more about it. Now, another product that I really recommend with the Prismacolored pencils is the white pencil. It comes in many of the sets, but I always like to have an extra because look, you can color over any color and it kind of blends it all together. So if you don't want to use Gamsol, that's another option. You can also add highlights with this, and I'll link to a video showing that. Now, there is another brand of colored pencils that I've tried more recently and I really am happy with, and the price point is lower. They're from Spectrum Noir. There's actually two sets that I like, and the two sets I show you here. The nice thing about these sets is they're well thought out. Check this out. They have 3 colors in each of the color families. So a light, a medium, and dark that go together. So you don't have to spend as much time thinking about what colors team up. That's one of the struggles I have with Prismacolor. This kind of does the thinking for you. And between these two sets, there are other sets, but these are the two that I think are great to start with. These are a very good quality colored pencil. They don't go down as buttery and as smooth as the Prismacolor, but the price point is much better, and you can still get great results using the Gamsol. So I just wanted to show you the same way I did before. I touch the Gamsol to the tip of my paper stump, and then I just scribble over the colored pencil and it blends it together. I use both of these colored pencil lines now. I think if I have more time, I grab the Prismacolor because I have to search more for colors, but if I have less time and I want to keep things simple, I grab the Spectrum Noir because they are quick and easy to figure out what colors go together well. But I think both are good options. And the last thing I wanted to talk about today are sprays. Now, I have a hard time with all the sprays that are in the market. They're kind of overwhelm me, but I finally found a line that I really like, and that is the Tim Holtz Distress Spray Stain. Now, these have some of the fun properties of distress where they react with water and so on and so forth. But to keep it simple, I just wanted to show you a few of the things that I like. I really like the 3 metallics and the white by far the most. Now, what you can do with these are just watercolor. So you can use any of the colors of the Distress Spray Stain or the metallics to get a watercolor look. And I really liked having this option of maybe like a silver watercolor. Another great thing to use these sprays for are little specks or little flecks on the back of a card. I have a hard time normally with this, but I figured out with these products it's very easy. For bigger droplets, you just take the dip tube right out of your spray, just take the lid off and flick that on. For tinier little dots, you just take your brush and dip that into the spray and flick that on. And look how beautiful all of that is. I first did it with the white, here I'm doing it with the silver, and I just think I get the best results using these products for these little flicks. I think they're fun on the background of cards, and check out how those dry. That's a mix of the silver and the white. Now, another thing you can do with these, there are many techniques you can do with these, but one of the easiest things you can do is just spray them on some cardstock and leave it to dry, and you get a really cool metallic background. So here I sprayed some silver, some of the brass, and then I even put some of the white on top. Now, it looks like a hot mess here, but as we've learned over the years with distress, and whenever it's wet, it looks kind of messy, but when it dries, it's beautiful. And check out that soft metallic background that I get by mixing the metallics with the white. Many great techniques with these, and I can't wait to play with them more. Okay, so that wraps it up. Remember that you can go to my blog for giveaways and shopping discounts. And if you are interested in the products I use or the videos that I mentioned, they're linked below in my YouTube description. And you can also find more of that on my blog. Now, if you're finding this video series helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That's how YouTube knows that you're watching and you're liking it and you want to see more from me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon with more of my favorite crafty things 2014.